This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today it's all about illusions. We're going to be looking at all sorts of different weird things with colors and shapes and ink blots and all different ways of looking at things. And we're going to be trying to figure out how much does a certain color have. And from me describing that, it might not seem super interesting, but you've got to watch this video because it is a very unique game. It's very easy to play, so let me show you. Illusion's played over multiple rounds. Each round there's a specific color that everyone is looking at. In this case it's red. The arrow goes this way because over the course of the game, cards are going to be coming off the deck. And cards are going to have to be added into different slots in this row. For example, at the beginning of the game, we're playing with red. So we see the amount of red that is in this card. Now, the first player is going to have to look at this card and decide, does this card have more red as a percentage of the whole card than this one? So you look at those blocks, you look at that, and you go, I don't know, this one's actually already a pretty big illusion. This player thinks it's going to have less than this. Or maybe they actually think more. If they think more, they'll go here. Let's go more. This player thinks that there's more. This arrow shows ascending percentages going this way, lowest to highest. Now the next player has a choice. They can either challenge, and they would do that if they think that anything here is wrong. In this case, if they thought this was actually less red than this, they would challenge. But in this case, they think this player is correct and all this is right. They then have to place this card. Well, this one's a little bit easier to draw. This one definitely is more than this. So now the next player has a choice. Do they want to challenge anything in this row? It doesn't matter if it was the last player or if it was any player. If any of these is not in ascending order, the challenging player would win. But they think all of this is right, and they're going to place this card, and they're going to say, you know what, I think this one goes right here. And so the next player's really scratching their head, and they go, you know what, I think this might be right, and I think I know where this card goes, so this next player goes like this. Now the next player looks at this and goes, I'm not 100% sure these are right. I also don't really know where this card is going to go, so I'm going to challenge. So that player is challenging the most recent player, who's basically the player to their right, because everything goes clockwise in this game. They're going to challenge this player. If any of these are not in ascending order, the challenging player will win this card as a point. If they're incorrect, meaning if this was all correct, the player that they challenged would get it. So here we go. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at red. So we'll flip this card over. This had 3% red. Everything just has to go in ascending order. This one had, it was close, 5% red. This one had 7% red. Oh my gosh, we're doing pretty good here. This one had 22, and this one had 40. This was actually correct, which doesn't often happen, actually. Most of the time, you're going to get it wrong, believe me. So in this case, since it was correct, the player that challenged lost the challenge, which means the player that they did challenge will get this as a point. The first person to get 3 cards, basically points, is going to win the game, or if it goes 12 rounds, because there's 12 cards. These would all get discarded. The next round would come up. We get to see, it's going to be blue. The first color comes out like this, and then the player who won the challenge is going to have to place this card here or here, and you just continue. Now, I'm not going to show you all the cards, but here's a good sample of some of them. And as you can see, they're all sort of very different. Some of them have some similarities, but they're all just very different. And again, it matters with the color. For example, if yellow was the color for this round, this card, wow, it's a lot, right? But if it was any of these other colors, it's kind of a little. You look at red here, wow, this one's really tough. They've got red everywhere. Yellow, wow, there's really not that much. So depending, each card sort of means a different thing depending on the color that you're going for that round. And again, whoever gets 3 challenges correct wins the game. All right, well, there's Illusion. Now, this, I gotta say, it's designed by Wolfgang Warsch. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, he had 3 games nominated in the Spiel des Jahres universe this year for German Game of the Year. The Mind was nominated for Spiel des Jahres, and he had 2 games that were nominated for the Kennerspiel, sort of the gamer game. Gosh, even some designer to get 1 game nominated once in their lifetime is huge. To have someone have 3 games on there in 1 year is just unheard of. And this one, I gotta tell you, is in that same vein. It's very good. It's a great sort of filler game. I like it because anyone can play it. I mean, I've played this in a ton of different situations. I've played it at dinner parties. I've played it at gamer nights, first game or last game. I've played it waiting in line or at a restaurant. Like, it's small, it's portable, it's easy to bring around, and anyone can literally play this game. And in many situations, as I mentioned, you know, it fits in your pocket. You can bring it to all sorts of different places. Standing in line, we've played this. It's got a lot of different ways that you can use it. Gamers love it. You know, families love it. People I've never met before wanted to join in and play it, and they loved it. It is a very unique idea where you've got these different weird cards, and a certain color is that round, and you're trying to basically slot them in. I mean, essentially, it basically follows the type of game that a popular party game called Timeline. Where in that game, it's a historical game where you're looking at a card. It might say, when was the Apple computer invented? And you have to put it in a timeline versus other cards as to how early or late it was. And essentially, this is that mechanism. You're using the timeline, slotting it in, but instead of a historical aspect, it's how much of that color is on this card versus all the other cards. And it's cool because when you're trying to decide, when it's your turn, you can either place the card or challenge. And hopefully, maybe you'll get the card. But the cool thing is you get to see what that next card is. Because sometimes you're like, wow, I think you might be right, but this next card coming up is a tough draw. I wouldn't really know where to place this, so I'm going to challenge. Or sometimes you're looking at it all, you're like, yeah, I think you're right, but this card's an easy draw. I'm going to slot it there and roll the dice. You know, the next player can try to, you know, maybe either challenge me or not. So I like that. It gives you a little bit of information before deciding to challenge. I think that's cool. Each card, you know, is different depending on which round the color is. You know, sure, you have similar shapes and things sometimes on the cards, on the same card, but you know, one card might look completely different for you on red than it does for green, for example. And so the replayability of this game is, even though you can go through all the cards after multiple plays, every card feels different depending on which of the colors it's used. So it does have a lot of replayability here. So overall, this is a very enjoyable filler game that's a unique experience that I've seen it transcend gamers, non-gamers alike. It's a fantastic filler game for that reason. Any negatives? Yes, the cards themselves, I wish there was sort of an orientation marker of some sort on the cards themselves, like maybe a dot in one of the corners, so you can lay them all out, because when you flip the cards to see what percentage there are, most of the time, a lot of times, half the time, we end up flipping it and it's upside down and you got to turn it. Minor quibble there. I wish they would have been oriented so that when you flip it, you don't have to worry about looking at the percentages upside down and stuff. But that's really the only negative I could say, because it's a fantastic game. And because of that, it's getting a saxophone serenade because it's getting inducted to my gaming library. So let's do it.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.